And one thing I can tell you right now, habits are like seeds planted in soil. Soil, poor growth. Rich soil, abundant growth. So the more you create great habits, the more success you start seeing in your life. It can be in business, it can be in family, religion, relationship, etc. Anything, guys. But the habits have to be there, right? I always tell people, if you want the goodies the goodies that life brings to others, then you probably need to change your bad habits, right? Because the reason those individuals have those goodies, they got some good habits, right? And I talk to people about this all the time, and we just talk about it because it's so important, especially when you own a business or you're trying to move to the next level in your career, whatever it is. Your habits are just crucial to your business. And people ask me, well, what are some good habits? How do I pick up on habits? How can I start creating good habits? How can I knock these bad habits I have, because I've been doing it for 20 years, or 30 years. I've been doing it all my life, right? At the end of the day, I can't do nothing. I'm not a miracle worker. At the end of the day, you have to change your habits. I can only tell you how to do it, but it's up to you to decide to change your habits, right? So, and I'm going to give you a few steps that I talk to individuals about. And there's more steps, guys, but I think these are your basic steps. I always tell people, hey, if you have 5 bad habits, try to break one right now. Let's go. Let's try to break a bad habit right now. And as soon as you break that bad habit, let's break number 2, right? Because you can't break 3 until you break 1. Does that make sense? Okay. So number 1 is you got to be consistent. Okay. When you're trying to build a new habit, when you're trying to start a new habit, you got to be consistent. Consistency is key, right? This is big. You can do so much in a business just by being consistent. Individuals that are at the top of any business is because they're always consistent. They're not the most talented. They're not the most educated. They're just the most consistent. And they always do the simplest things over and over and over and over and over and over because they're consistent and they know what works, right? And it kills me that most people, and I'm guilty of this, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm so guilty of this, that they start, they stop, 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 right? So I'm guilty of it. How much times have I gone to the gym and said I'm going to lose me another 10 pounds, and then I'll start for about a week, and then I'll stop, then I'll start again, and I'll stop, right? We're all guilty of it. I'm big guilty of this, right? But you know what? But I've also picked up great habits, right? I've also picked up great habits, and I kept those great habits because I had a lot of bad habits. I had a lot of bad habits. I am a different man than I was 15 years ago. I promise you that, right? So that's a big thing. You got to start being consistent. And I'm going to tell you one great habit that I picked on. I started reading books. And people that know me from my past, I hated school. I mean, when I hated school, I'm telling you, I'm a high school dropout, college dropout. I didn't care nothing for school, but I've always had a heart-burning desire to be successful, and I became successful. And I didn't want to just even think about anything that had to do with school, right? I hated being told what to do and how to do it and when to turn it in, right? So, when one of my first mentors several years ago gave me a book, and he told me I needed to read the book. I was like, hey, I know you don't know me much just yet, but I don't read. I don't read at all, and I don't like to read. And he said, well, we just talked about some things that you want to change in your life, what you want to do. He says, I only work with individuals that read this book. So I kind of said, well, I guess I'm not working with this individual, right? And I came home. I promise you not that the next day, for whatever reason, and it's just always from the grace of God, I was reading that book. And it was the first book I ever read in my life, right? Literally, by me saying that, the first book ever completely finished, ever, that I can even remember, right? And a great habit that I started picking up on, I didn't start reading books right away, right? So I read that book. Maybe 6 months later, I read another book. Another 6 months later, I read another book. You know, people recommend me good books. I read them, some I don't. Some I finished, some I didn't, right? So, but one thing I learned was about 2 years ago, I would say, maybe less, individual was telling me, hey, you know what? I read 10 pages a day. 10 pages a day. You read 10 pages a day. He said 10 pages a day times 30, that's 300 pages. He's like, I read them right before I go to bed. I used to, come home. I wanted to see what's on Sports Center and catch up on news, but I turn my TV off. I read those 10 pages before I do anything. Some people like to do it in the morning, right when they wake up, gets the day going. It only takes you 5 to 8, 10 minutes to read 10 pages, depending on how fast you read. And I said, you know what, let me try that. And it's crazy that I literally finish maybe a book and a half every 30 days. And it's been one of the best habits that I picked up. And you're talking to an individual that would never ever read a book. And I love it now. I love it. I sometimes can't wait to pick up my next book. I'm like, I'll speed through a book just because I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get to this next book, right? So, and that's where, and I'm telling you, that's just helped me. That habit that I've formed right there, that's helped me so much. And I'm telling you, it's going to help you so much just picking up a habit. Did it happen right away? Absolutely not. But did I continue and continue and continue? Did I have a lot of distractions? Did I want to watch a game? Did I want to, get on the internet and do more research for something else? Absolutely. But I always made sure to read my 10 pages, right? I always made sure to read my 10 pages. I'll tell you what, even one time I went out of town and I accidentally left my book. And I'm very big on now, whatever I start, I have to finish. So I didn't want to start a new book just because I left. So I came back after about 3 days, came back and I had read 50 pages to make up for what I lost, right? So I'm very big on that, right? So you've got to be consistent.